Hi, everyone. So, I wanted to talk to you today about another interesting topic. And this one is a little bit personal, so I just want to be transparent with you guys. For those of you that don't know, I'm sure many of you don't, my mom passed away from suicide 2 years ago. So, July the 8th, 2021 is when she passed away. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail because, grief is a journey and I'm not all the way healed from it. But I do want to talk about a little snippet of her story. So, the morning that she passed away, my siblings and I received a text message from her, basically saying, I love you, I'm sorry I failed you. And the last sentence that she put in the text message to us was, please get my things from him. So, just to give you some backstory, my mom was in a relationship that she was in the process of dissolving. And she was going back and forth about that decision. And the time that she passed, she was moving out and trying to start a new life. And unfortunately, she didn't get a chance to do that. So the last request that she asked me, my sister, and my brother was to please get my things from him, which for context, that would be her husband at the time. So that was the last request that our mom had of us, and I only speak for myself, was that we get all of her things. So that has been an ongoing journey in real time. I don't have all of her things, but I do have a couple of them. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you today about, because for me, as I've gone through my grief journey, I have struggled with that because I feel like it was the last thing that my mom asked me to do, right? Imagine your mom asked you to do one more thing that was beyond your control. And in this case, getting all her items from her husband has been really difficult. We still don't have all of her belongings to this day. Now, the problem with the text message is the definition of my things. So I was really frustrated with God because I was like, God, what things? Like, which things do I need to go get? And, what if he doesn't want to give those things up? How am I supposed to manage that? I don't know what she would call her things. She also took care of my grandmother. So is she talking about her things and our grandmother's things? Which things? Do we need to be looking for clothes or looking for a certain item? How do we navigate that? And it was really hard, and it still is to this very day. I'll be very honest with you about that. So the items that we did get, that's what I want to talk to you today about. When her husband decided to somewhat agree to the text message that she sent us, I met him at a U-Haul. Met him at a U-Haul storage unit one day, and he gave me a couple items. He gave me some books that my mom had kept since I was a little girl. Lots of books. I think she was hoping to pass them on to her grandchildren, which I actually did for her. So thank you, Mom. I also received her Bible, one of her favorite Bibles that her husband gave to me, and I received two of her wedding bands. So these are Tiffany wedding bands, and she gave me two because her husband told me specifically that he knew that he was supposed to give those things to us. And it was one wedding band for my sister and one for me, which I wear every day. So what's my whole point about this story? My whole point about this story is the things that we received wasn't everything I hoped for, right? There's still some things to this day that are still in the possession of her husband, and I don't know if we'll ever get those things. We may not. But what's interesting to me are the things that we did receive. And so, in my opinion, the things that we've received were books from our childhood, her wedding band, and her Bible, and also her purse. Those are the things that we got that day. And we haven't gotten anything since. I don't know if we ever will. But what's interesting to me are the things that God allowed us to have. And that's kind of what I've been trying to focus on, because I think that those were her most prized possessions. And those are the things that were of most value to her, in my opinion. She gave the most valuable things that she owned, and that was diamond rings, earthly treasure, right? something that has a lot of value. And I'm getting tongue tied. And she also gave me her Bible, one of her favorite Bibles. And I think that that's something that she also treasured. And so while I do struggle with in my grief journey about all the things I didn't get, when I look at my hand and I look at my ring and I look at my mom's Bible, I think to myself, I still thank God for what we were able to receive. And when I go in my children's room and I see the books that my mom used to read me, I can still say, thank you, God, so much. So a lot of times when you're in situations that you can't exactly process, would I have really cared about getting all her clothes? I don't know. It depends on the day of the week. You have to ask me. On some days, I'm like, yeah, I want everything. As she said, all things. Get my things, and I want all the things. And in other days, I'm like, no, you know what? I got her most valuable possessions that she has, and I wouldn't trade what I have for anything in the world. So it's interesting to think about what God gives you and what he doesn't give you. And maybe in due time, maybe in another time frame, I will be able to get all of her things. But maybe God gave me just exactly what I needed at that moment. And maybe in this moment of my grief journey, that I do just need those two things. And those two things give me great joy. So I would just say that when you lose someone in the manner that I did, and you're confused and you feel like God has just like forgotten about you, remember that God knows what you need at the moment that you need it, and just be thankful. I'm thankful that I even got those things, and that has changed a lot over the last 2 years in my grief journey. So I would just encourage you to have faith and trust that God will give you what you need. And if you don't have it right now, it might not be meant for you to have.